Hey, this is a quick video to talk about how do we handle exceptions in Java. Now, when people are designing their own custom classes, they need to put in protections to make sure that they have valid objects. So I'm doing a simple example here of a car. And in this case, a car will just have a year, make, and a model. Now, I can't have a car of any year. Their cars have really only been around, I'm guessing, from 1903. I could research this, but around 1903 until our current year plus one. So even though right now it's 2019, I could get a car that's a 2020 model. And so what we do is we're going to check if we have a valid instance. And if we have invalid information coming in, then what we do is we're going to throw a new, and then you're going to put in some type of exception. In this case, because year is an argument, I said it's an illegal argument exception. But you could have all kinds of different types of exceptions, and you can even create your own custom exception classes. And usually, there's some kind of a message that goes with your exception to tell you what's wrong. And if it's a valid year, then I set the instance variable. And you see this pattern is similar with many types of the predefined classes that already exist. And so here I have a situation where I'm going to build two car objects. The first car is a 2019 Ford Escape. And then the next car, what I meant to type was a 1997 Ford Focus. But I accidentally put 1897. So this would be an invalid car if it were allowed to continue. So if I run my program, what we'll see is it comes back and I get what's called a stack trace. And I can see here it tried to execute line 6. So it jumps to my constructor in the car class. See how it's got different names of the classes here and different lines of Java code. And then it tried to set the year. So it jumps down to the set year method. And here it says line 24. So my year, which was 1897, would have made this part become true. So it throws a new illegal argument exception. And then it gives me this message, which I can see right here in the stack trace. Vehicle must be in the range, 1903 to the current year. So it may be that we want to handle how this happens. So what I can do is I can try to run this piece of code and then catch when there's an exception. In this case, the specific type of exception is an illegal argument exception, and I'll give it a name. I'm going to call it E. You could call it banana, you could call it exception, whatever you like. I'm just going to call it E. And now I can try different things. I could maybe prompt the user for a new year if I knew it was the year that was incorrect, or I could at least gracefully handle it. So I'm going to say I'll prompt the user, and then I'll get them to add in a new year. Now, you would never actually probably do it exactly like this. Usually what you do is you'd catch the argument and maybe have this in a loop or something for the user to be able to enter information. But for the purpose of this little example, this should work. So I'm going to try to run this line of code, and then I'm going to catch if there's an illegal argument exception. If there's no illegal argument exception, it will just create the car. So I'm going up here to run. And sure enough, it's triggered the exception, so we can see it here. So if I put in a valid year like 2017, it finishes without any further problems. And maybe we'll just print out our cars. This is the other thing you'll find with a try catch, is that we tried to create the object inside of this try catch block. And since there's a potential that it would trigger an exception, the object is not available outside of the try catch block. So what I need to do is actually define the object first outside of the try catch block. And then I can reference it. So now, if we run it, add in a proper year, and you can see we created 2 car objects. So that's the idea of try and catch. You're going to try some piece of code, and then you can catch if there's a problem with it. I hope that helps your assignment.